Aloha, aloha, aloha. I'm here to tell you the Hamwise J Einschwein official J.F.K. joke, which is, J.F.K. The reason we've never gotten to declassified and it still isn't properly declassified is because it's so damning to the Kennedy family. It was actually a botched mob hit. And essentially, it was just so embarrassing that they left it up to RFK to decide. And he looked at it and said, oh no, I didn't know it was this. And so, basically everybody who hears about it just decides to keep it a secret because there's families that are alive and people are alive that don't want to have to, live with that kind of knowledge. And also it tarnishes the memory of, this otherwise very great man. And so we all just agreed to, keep it very quiet. So what happened actually was there was more than one shooter. And, of course, it was going to be framed as this national tragedy. The widower president would guarantee a third term. They were going to push for, a way to remove term limits. And it was going to be King Kennedy would be the future that you guys all avoided. And basically, because he was having this affair and Jackie wanted to divorce and it would be very public at the height of the Cold War, and he had made some unsavory connections with some people. They basically, they hired these two assassins, one guy from Grassy Knoll, the other one from a book depository, and, they shot, and, of course they missed. And they missed in a catastrophic way. And, of course, it became like, Cosa Nostra, like you couldn't even mention it. Everybody just start whispering it, if you brought it up. And, so what happens, of course, is the whole, it's a nightmare because, Lee Harvey Oswald turns himself in immediately and says, I did not mean to do that. That I was supposed to shoot the wife, right? And of course, they're like, well, we can't let this get out. Can't put him on trial if he admits that. And that's why the Jack Ruby's, of course, his thing, like he loved the president too much to let him do that, that was one of the few pieces of evidence that actually remained out in the public eye, and we were terrified somebody would catch on. And it was because, Jack, knew some of, Ruby knew about some of, Jack's family, and it's just like, no, I can't let these people find out that, and he loved his country, and so it was a big sacrifice, what Jack Ruby did. And, of course, the second gunman was never apprehended, and, we don't include their name in here in purpose, because, it's bad enough that, of course, the Kennedy family is going to get raked over the coals when this gets declassified. And, that's why I guess it's okay for me to talk about it now. It's old news. Stuff from how long ago? I don't know how long ago. Too long ago. And, that was the biggest, I think, crime of it all was, there was this lie that everybody had to agree to because the truth was just too terrible. And there was other times that was done in history. There's been other times where everybody knew the truth, but it was so horrible that it was easier to just, live in the lie. And that was the whole Kennedy joke was, there's something in your life right now that is like the Kennedy joke, something so terrible that everybody just agrees to lie about it because otherwise it's just too sad and it hurts everybody's hearts too much. But the problem is, of course, lies take effort and people get tired and it's easier to live honestly. And so that was kind of part of the whole, all this stuff getting declassified. But then, of course, they went a bit too far. And now it's, anybody's game. For the next while. It was a very good time to go into politics. But anywho, that's the Kennedy joke. And if you take anything I say seriously, You might be on my most wanted list. Most wanted for being a dummy. Hi-oh, oinkity oink oink.